Okay. So, having looked at our travel distances and exit signage and emergency lighting, the last bit the last plan. Look, and as I said before, you may have it as two separate plans, or you may bring these two plans together: life safety plan and fire systems plan. So, we are going to have a look at supplying hose reels. We are also going to have a look at supplying fire extinguishers and fire hydrants. The hose reels and fire hydrants, typically I think they're going to be the same for everybody in this room. But for fire extinguishers, that may be different. Some of you may not need fire extinguishers. Some of you, it all depends on whether you're including kitchens and the like within your spaces. So that's something that may differ between person to person as to whether you require fire extinguishers. And then...
So are we still only doing this for level 1?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So your fire systems plan for level 1. You'll also be wanting to mark on their fire detection as well. So we're going to want to have smoke detectors, but these are not smoke alarms as you would have in a residence. These are smoke detectors which are linked to a building management system that will provide the alarms, much like what we have here. There's an alarm that goes off. There's cause for an alarm. It sends out a signal saying there has been this. I forget what it says specifically. I should remember because we've had a few of them just recently. But anyhow, it's all pretty obvious when it happens. It says that there's an incident being investigated, and that incident then gets investigated, and the call is made as to whether we're evacuating people or not. So that's the type of system that we'll have in this building as well. We'll start off with fire hydrants. So a fire hydrant must be provided to serve a building having a total floor area greater than 500 square metres, and where a fire brigade station is no more than 50 kilometres from the building, as measured along roads and equipped with equipment utilising fire hydrant. So we've got a fire station within about 1 kilometre of this building. I'd say it's about that kilometre away. So we're going to, and do we have a total floor area greater than 500 square metres? Yes. So the key word there is total. Yeah. And that's I've noticed that as like so in doing a lot of these tank installations on hay sheds and all that sort of stuff, the reason I've had to do that is because when farmers build hay sheds over 500 square metres, as they do a lot now, means that they have to have hydrants for that, because all of a sudden they are a class 7 building or a class 8 building over 500 square metres. They have to have hydrants. One way some people are getting around that are building 2 sheds of 300 square metres or so, and that's but typically that's the cost of fire hydrants is not going to dictate that. But
it's a bit more expensive to build 2 buildings than hay.
With some of these systems in more remote locations where there's not access to mains water, where you have to put in so you need to have a tank which supplies, I forget what it is, supplies water for a certain given amount of time at a certain flow rate, which equates to 144,000 litres, but because SA Water says you need this much freeboard in your tank so you don't get contamination of water flowing in, etc., means you need a 200,000 litre tank. To do that with the hydrant system, so that tank's that's about $13,000. Hydrant system on top of that is about $6,000, and installation, etc. so for many, like for industrial type applications, it can be worthwhile to break those up to avoid having to put that infrastructure in, because you're looking at over $20,000. So where are we? So we're going to have a hydrant system in there, and that must be installed in accordance with AS 2419, except, so we're not looking at Class 8, we're not going to be doing a sprinkler system in there. Hope I haven't dashed anybody's hopes on wanting to draw up a sprinkler system plan for that. And yeah, so so we got so we have to put the hydrants in there. And we'll have to. So those fire hydrants have to serve each floor. So where internal fire hydrants are provided, they must serve only the story on which they are located, except that sole occupancy, blah blah blah. In our case, we will have to have fire hydrants to serve only the story that we're in. Then they're going to have to be installed as per AS 2419. Now this is one aspect where you do have to refer to AS 2419, and we're going to be looking at page 32 for that. So internal fire hydrant coverage shall comply with the following. So coverage should be provided to those parts of the building not covered by external hydrants. Where's the important bit? I can't really read it from this slight angle. Accordance with the requirements. Yeah, so all portions of the floor shall be within 40 metres of internal fire hydrant installed in accordance with 3.6.2. So you've got 40 metres. So, and then also...
Is there not a regulation on how far it has to be from the exit, or from an entrance for the firefighters?
No. Well, what it says, yeah.
You put one in the middle, like you could put one right in the middle of the hallway. But what's the point of having it there if the firefighters have to fight the fire to get there?
Yes. Yep. And that's yes, exactly, and that's where it does come up. So in location, it says, in every required fire isolated exit, external stair or ramp, every story level except where installed in accordance. So we're going to have to include those hydrants in our fire isolated exit. That means that fire services will be able to access that hydrant in safety prior to opening a door. So they'll want to be able to have their hoses charged and on fine mist before they pop in there, and so they've got that shield of mist to protect entering onto a fire. So 40 metre spacings, and then in every required exit. So because we've got those two, unless we're going to be an 80 metre long building, I think we'll be fine with the location of our hydrants in that. So that's for our fire hydrants. It's a different case for our fire hose reels. So, and the interesting thing about the fire hose reels, so that's E1.4. So a fire hose reel system must be provided to serve the whole of the building where one or more internal fire hydrants are installed, or where internal fire hydrants are not installed to serve any fire compartment, etc. So we have to put fire hydrants in here. We've already established that. We've got to put fire hydrants in, and we've got to put them in those required exits. But the important point, so fire hose reels must be located within 4 metres of an exit, except that a fire hose reel need not be located adjacent to every exit provided system coverage can be achieved. So how can system coverage be achieved? Well, that's where we will have to look at what fire hose reels we can buy. So we're not going to be designing our fire hose reels in accordance with AS, etc. We're not, we're not going to be doing that. These are proprietary products that we can go and purchase. Like you go to like Fire Corp or something like that, and you buy your fire hose reels. So this is probably something you want to note or watch the video back. But you can get a 19mm fire hose reel that will reach to 36 metres. That's your furthest reaching fire hose reel. So we're locating that within 4 metres of an exit, and we've got 36 metres coverage on that. So as long as your hydrants in your exits are within, that 40 metres, then if you've got a 36 metre hose reel, fire hose reel at 19 millimetres, then you'll be able to have one at each of those locations. Except, this is an important point, fire hose reels must be located so that the fire hose will not need to pass through doorways fitted with fire or smoke doors. So our fire isolated exits are fitted with fire doors, obviously. So we're not allowed to include our fire hose reels within that fire isolated exit, and there's a very good reason for that. It's that if there is a fire, let's say a rubbish bin starts burning on a floor, somebody grabs the fire hose reel, tries to put it out, but it's already caught onto the curtains, things like that, things are escalating a bit too much, and people go, I'm getting out of here. They drop the hose and they take off. That hose may keep the door to that fire isolated exit open. Fire starts burning, people from upper floors want to come down through that fire isolated exit, and they're confronted with flames and smoke as a result. So you have to put those fire hose reels adjacent the exits, but not inside the exits. So our hydrants go in the exits so that emergency services can access those and set those up in safety before heading on. But the fire hose reels are intended as that first attack, and you don't want them located in your fire isolated exits. So key points from that: hydrants at each fire isolated exit, fire hose reels near the exits, within 4 metres of those exits, and serving 36 metres of that floor, which you should be able to achieve with this building. Then won't be doing sprinklers, and then the second to last bit we're going to have a look at are portable fire extinguishers. So on that fire systems plan, if you have need for fire extinguishers, you have to put nominate where they go as well. So portable fire extinguishers must be provided as listed in table E 1.6, and then
it shouldn't be if it has need. It should be an obligation.
What's that?
A fire extinguisher is a lot easier for someone to use than a fire hose.
Yes.
So in terms, you should really have all three. You should have the hydrants, the hoses, and the...
Yeah. So, look, and I agree with you, but if it doesn't say that if the NCC, the base, the worst building we can legally build says you don't have to have one, then that's okay. You don't have to get them onto your plans. So the way we work out is whether we have one or not is we have a look at table E 1.6, and so class 2 to 9 buildings, that's us, within sole occupancy units, or except within sole, so class 2 to 9 buildings, that's us. So to cover class A, E or E fire risks associated with emergency services switchboards. So if you're going to have an emergency services switchboard on that level, well then a class A, E or E extinguisher to cover Class F fire risks involving cooking oils and fats in kitchens. So if you're going to have a kitchen on that level, staff kitchen, then you need a Class F fire extinguisher.
Is a kitchen different than a kitchenette?
Actually, that's a. Ooh, I haven't explored that. I've always, for people including kitchenettes as well, I've said to include that fire extinguisher as well.
If you're going to put a microwave in the kitchen, you've got a chance of lighting something on fire. So
Sorry?
if you're going to put a microwave in the kitchen, you've got a chance of lighting something on fire. So might as well just go with the safe option.
Yeah, look, and look, even where fire extinguishers, like, as a practical thing, even where they're not required by the NCC, I think it's good to be good to have them anyhow.
Because they're not that expensive once you have them, once they're in, and they last.
I don't have a problem putting them in.
Just as as the basic basic worst building we can legally build. So I don't expect anybody's going to have to be putting in Class B, but Class B fire risk in locations where flammable liquids in excess of 50 litres are stored. And then to cover Class A fire risks in normally occupied fire compartments less than 500 square metres not provided with fire hose reels. So we've already crossed that bridge, we've already got our fire hose reels. And then if we're a fire compartment less than 500 square metres, so to work out whether we have to put in Class A extinguishers, we have to work out are we, as a single floor, a fire compartment? Is anybody able to answer that? Should we? What's that? Is it? What is? Yeah. Does anyone want to have a crack?
We will be provided with fire hose reels for.
Yeah.
Particular, so no, we wouldn't need those.
Yeah. So we are, so we are a fire compartment less than 500 square metres. Now, if we were to drill a hole in the floor down to the next level, well, then we're no longer a fire compartment, and then we would have to have fire extinguishers. But if our separate floors, our separate sole occupancy units have an FRL for our fire or fire separation, well, then we are separate fire compartments. So then we don't have to have Class A under that rule. Then to cover Class A fire risk in classrooms and associated corridors in primary or secondary schools not provided with fire hose reels, not a primary or secondary school, and to cover Class A fire risk associated with Class 2, 3 or 5 buildings. And we're not 3 or 5 buildings or Class 4. Okay. So there we are class 5, so we will have to have Class A or Type A or Class A fire extinguishers. So then that's so. Now location of those portable fire extinguishers. Okay, selected location distributed in accordance with sections 1, 2, 3 and 4 of AS 2444. So I'll have to is that one? Yeah. So we are sections 1, 2, 3 and 4. General 1, 2, 3 extinguisher location, page 8. So extinguisher location. Each extinguisher should be located in a conspicuous and readily accessible position. Extinguishers shall not be located in positions where access could present a hazard to the potential user. So with your kitchenette, don't have your Class F fire extinguisher over in the far corner of that kitchenette, because if we've got this fat fire, well then we don't want people having to go past that fire to access the extinguisher. Best location for that extinguisher is right next to the door, right next to the exit door. And what was that for insulation? Yeah. Now I've got it. Now I'm not sure exactly. I've got it off the top of my head that they have to be within 15 metres of each other, so at 15 metre spacings. But exactly in which section here it specifies the 15 metre. No, that's... Yeah, there we go. Distribution of portable fire extinguishers in buildings. Class A fire risks. So for Class A fire risk extinguishers shall be distributed in accordance with Table 4.1, notwithstanding the requirements of 4.1. The travel distance from any point to the nearest extinguisher shall be not greater than 15 metres. So no further than 15 metres apart. So we can have a look at Table 4.1. So fire hazard, minimum rating and classification of extinguishers, maximum floor area per extinguisher. Let's say we're ordinary risk for that. Yeah. So yeah, maximum floor area per extinguisher for was it? Okay, yeah, we are complementing fire suppression, so yeah, 150 square metres. So 150 square metres per extinguisher and no more than 15 metres apart. And a 2A rated fire extinguisher. Okay. And then so that's our extinguishers. So we've got type A and then our type F for in the kitchens. And finally, we've got smoke detection systems. What did I got it on this? Let's. Where are we? We're into specifications. I think I may have inadvertently passed it. Sprinkler system. Fire hydrants. No. I didn't write down which one is which. I might have to go to the...
Smoke hazard management is 191.
191, thank you. 191. Okay, thank you. Okay. So, yeah. No, for what I'm looking for is our warning system, smoke detection, and alarm systems. There we go. So I should have written down that page number. So a required automatic smoke detection and alarm system must be provided in accordance with the following. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, smoke detection system complying with clause number 4. So we click on that. Clause number 4, smoke detection systems. 2 and 3, class 9A. Yes, so what's that? Oh, yes, sorry, thank you. Yeah, all class 2 to 9 buildings, smoke detection system must comply, subject to B and C, comply with AS 1670.1. So, so that's us. So we go to AS 1670.1, and the pertinent page in AS 1670.1 for us is page number 43. We're interested in our locations of smoke detectors. So we'll put on our fire systems plan our location for those detectors. And so these are not smoke alarms, but smoke detectors. And we'll be doing them in accordance with, page 44 is our pertinent page within that. And we want to know our spacing between detectors for level surfaces, because what we're going to have in this building, we're going to have a flat ceiling. So ceiling on a grid system hung down with all of our services up above and our detectors on that flat plane. So the crux of that is that they be arranged within 3.5 metres of the wall. So we have to have one within 3.5 metres of the wall. So that's where we start, and then so have at least one detector located within 3.5 metres of each wall. Be within 7 metres of each other in any direction, and any space on that ceiling not more than 5 metres away from a detector. So if you do them in a grid of 7 metres apart from each other, then that 5 metres is easily achieved. Because if you're here where my cursor is now, and it's more than 5 metres to that detector, you're within 5 metres of this detector there. So put really simply, you want your first line of detectors set off a maximum of 3.5 metres from the walls, and then you set them off at 7 metres from there. So yeah, that's our fire spacing of detectors. So that's AS 1670.1 on page 44. Any question about those? Yeah. So what we'll have is we'll have nomination. So we'll have our, let's say we're doing 2 separate plans: life safety plan, fire systems plan. On our fire systems plan, we'll have our legend showing our, let's say, an H symbol for hydrant, those located in our fire isolated exits. We'll have fire hose reels. That will probably be nominated by a symbol like a box type symbol with a squiggly reel in it for fire hose reel. And then you'll have those located within 4 metres of those exits, but not in the exits. We'll have our fire extinguishers to cover 150 square metres of floor area spaced at no more than 15 metres apart. And then for anybody with kitchens, a type F fire extinguisher near the doorway of the kitchen. Then smoke detectors spaced maximum 3.5 metres off the walls, and then from 7 metre spacings in a 7 metre spaced grid from there on. Emergency lighting to our main area, corridor and fire isolated exits, and exit signage clearly visible from any point on the floor. Cool with that?